It's Wednesday, and you're listening to Warlock Wednesday on anyotherpodcast.com.
Good evening and welcome to another Warlock Hour with Razor on Warlock Wednesdays here on Another Podcast Network. Alright, kind of not feeling good tonight, but still going to get on with the show. I'm going to start off with the comic releases for this week. So, coming out Wednesday, as today is Monday, obviously, but not, because you're listening to it on Wednesday. Coming out this Wednesday from Detective Comics, DC Comics, Green Arrow number 17, Smallville Season 11 number 10, Detective Comics number 17, and Legends of the Dark Knight number 5. I believe next week is the final chapter of the Death of the Family series, which I've been talking about every week, and I believe that's going to be next week. Batman 17 comes out, and that will be the final issue, and the big reveal will be made, and lots of rumors flying around of what's going on. I think we might see the death of Alfred, and wondering what your thoughts might be on that. Coming out from Marvel this week, we have All New X-Men number 7, Superior Spider-Man number 3, Secret Avengers number 37, Avengers number 5, and New Avengers number 3. The only reason I mentioned Secret Avengers this week is because that title is coming to an end, and we're going to be starting at Marvel Now Secret Avengers. I can't talk. As I said, I'm not feeling well, but I'm trying. So, we're getting close to the end of that, so you may want to pick up the last few issues if you've been collecting that, or if you just want to have kind of like the end of that title's run. But Secret Avengers number 37 is getting close to the end of that. From the Independents, from Dark Horse Comics this week, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Willow Wonderland number 4. This is number 4 of a 5-part series, so if you've been collecting that, you definitely want to pick up number 4. From Dynamite Entertainment, Army of Darkness number 10, Vampirella number 26, and Vampirella Strikes number 2. From IDW Publishing, Doctor Who number 5, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 18, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero number 187, and Star Trek number 17. So that's your comic releases for the week. Like I said, kind of a small week for DC this week. Last week was a small week for Marvel, but I think DC's big week is coming, or at least big title is coming next week when we get Batman 17. So, going to move on to movie news, and we're going to start, obviously, as we always do, with the box office numbers. And I'm a little peeved at the number one movie, a little bit, much to my chagrin, the number one movie over the weekend was that fucking zombie movie, Warm Bodies. And I use the word zombie movie very, very loosely, because this movie is just an abomination, and the fact that it was made is just mind-boggling to me. But apparently all those teenage girls went out to watch it this week, because the movie raked in $19.8 million to claim the top spot. Now, $19.8 million as far as an opening weekend is not great. It's not a fantastic opening weekend, but it is the number one movie for this weekend, and that sucks. Last week, if you listened to the other shows on the Another Podcast Network, Mr. James on Another Podcast, episode number 23, I mentioned that Mr. Ralph Garman, who we all know and love and listen to on the podcast Hollywood Babylon, not a sponsor, and also on K-Rock, not a sponsor, said on K-Rock's Kevin and Bean show that he didn't think Warm Bodies was going to be that bad. James had said that, so it's hearsay. James said that Ralph said that it was going to be okay. However, listening to Hollywood Babylon, you get a very different and a very real Ralph Garman point of view. And Ralph Garman on Hollywood Babylon listed this as one of his movies that will suck. See, when he works for K-Rock, he's working for a company. He has to say things and be positive about things that he may not personally agree with because he's being paid. Since I'm not being paid, you get my straight-out opinion. I frackin' hate warm bodies. I think it is an abomination to zombie movies. A zombie cannot come back to life. A zombie is dead. It has no pulse, it has no feelings, it lives on primal instincts, and that's to feed. To feed on brains, mostly, but to feed on human flesh and brains. That's what a zombie does. Okay? Like, there are just no room anywhere for a zombie that can fall in love and have his heart start beating again, and it's just totally... It's asinine. It's bullshit. Okay, I want to give you kind of a definition here. Zombie, according to dictionary.com, not a sponsor, is a noun and is 1. The body of a dead person given the semblance of life, but mute and willless by a supernatural force, usually for some evil purpose. The supernatural force itself could also be the zombie. 2, an informal, a person whose behavior or responses are wood and listless. You know how, like, when you say, oh, that guy's like a zombie, like you're working at your desk all the time. That's another term that zombie refers to. But it is a body of a dead person given the semblance of life, but mute and willless by a supernatural force, usually for some evil purpose. Apparently, these people who made this stupid movie don't know the definition of zombie. So, fuck them and their stupid movie. I will not see it. I will never see it. Warm Bodies may be the number 1 movie this weekend, but who the hell cares? Because I guarantee you next week, it will probably not even be in the top 5. Alright, moving on to number 2. It was last week's number 1. Hansel and Gretel Witch Hunters pulled in another $9.4 million, bringing its total up to $34 million. 34.6. Silver Linings Playbook moves up a spot into the number 3 spot and made another $7.7 million, making its total $80 million. I'm liking this. I still haven't gotten the opportunity to see it, but I'm hoping to soon. I was really busy this weekend. We have a film festival going on at my theater, and things are a little hectic right now. So I'm still hoping to get to see this movie before the Oscars, which are February 24th. So I'm hoping to see it before then. Number 4 this week was Mama. And that brought in another $6.5 million. Zero Dark 30 in at number 5 with $5.1 million. The new Sylvester Stallone movie, Bullet to the Head, at $4.5 million. Kind of a little bit of a bomb here. I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard that it's good. I've heard that it's bad. I've heard that it's the best action movie somebody's ever seen. I've heard it's the worst action movie somebody's ever seen. I guess if you like Stallone, maybe go see it. If you're not a Stallone fan, you're probably not going to like the movie. Its debut at number 6 at $4.5 million. Number 7, Parker, $3.3 million. Number 8, Django Unchained, $3 million. Number 9, Les Mis at $2.4 million, and rounding out the top 10 at $2.4 million, Lincoln. Now I just want to go one more to Argo at number 11. It brought in $2 million this week, and the reason why I want to mention it this week is because it was at 18th position last week, so obviously Oscar buzz has definitely bumped this movie up quite a few slots. So that's your top 11 as opposed to your top 10. So, moving on with entertainment news, I'm going to move into something that's interesting to me and may not be interesting to you, but World of Warcraft, or Blizzard, the company that runs World of Warcraft, finally announced that they found a new director for the Warcraft movie. This movie was supposed to come out in 2014, or late 2013, early 2014. The director was supposed to be Sam Raimi. However, what happened was Sam Raimi couldn't wait as long as Blizzard wanted to with the script, so they moved on from there. Sam Raimi went on to direct the Oz the Great and Powerful, and had to pull out of the Warcraft movie, which left a director's chair available. So the director for the Warcraft movie is Duncan Jones. He's taking on the project. He directed the movie called Source Code. Excuse me, as I said, not feeling great. Source Code, he directed that one, and I did not see this movie. It looked too weird for me, so I don't know if it was good. I don't know if his directing style is good. However, the Warcraft movie is moving forward. It is being directed by, as I said, Duncan Jones, and being written by, let me just see if I can find the writers here. Yes, Charles Leavitt is writing the script, and he's working with Chris Metzen, who's co-producing for Blizzard. He's the guy when it comes to Blizzard. All I know about the script so far is not much, but it is going to be kind of an original story, but adapted from some of the books that have come out. So it's kind of like a wait-and-see type deal. They're really keeping the script under wraps, but it is being written by Charles Leavitt and being directed by Duncan Jones. So that was announced by Blizzard, and here's the official posting. We are pleased to announce that Duncan Jones, director of critically acclaimed films Source Code and Moon being another movie I haven't seen, has signed on with Legendary Pictures to direct the upcoming live-action film based on the Warcraft universe. Duncan Jones is making the jump to big-budget, tentpole movies, signing on to direct Warcraft, Legendary Pictures' live-action adaptation of Blizzard Entertainment's video game universe. I think a live-action movie, I really want to see it. But at the same time, when you watch the opening videos or the cut scenes in any Blizzard game, whether it be World of Warcraft, StarCraft, or what's their other big one? Diablo, those cut scenes are absolutely fantastically done. The animation on them is absolutely amazing. I would love to see an animated movie from Blizzard using that technology that they used in some of their trailers and some of their cut scenes for these movies, because honestly, they're amazing. And not only that, but you can do so much more with it. You could do more of the books. When you get voice actors who are really good, and you get stories that are already there for you, so to speak, just gotta animate it. And I think that's where they should go. That's what they should be doing. That's what they should be looking towards. Yes, I'm looking forward to this definitely as a live-action film. One note before I move on from the Warcraft stuff. The director, Duncan Jones, is the son of David Bowie. Yes, that's right. The man who gave us such great songs as any that I can't think of for some reason right now. But David Bowie, the singer, actor, and all-around entertainer, his son is Duncan Jones, and he's directing this movie. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. The biggest movie he's made to date had a budget of $35 million, this Duncan Jones guy, and that was Source Code. That starred Jake Gyllenhaal. The movie Moon apparently only cost $1 million. So this Warcraft movie, which is probably going to cost in the $100 million range or up above $100 million, will definitely be the biggest budget he's ever worked with. So we'll just have to see what happens from here on out. But I'm looking forward to this movie very much. Alright, moving on in entertainment news. As we know, DC's animation department is amazing. They put out some great animated feature films that go usually direct to DVD, but they're still animated feature films, as well as their television shows like Young Justice, the Lanterns series, and some of their other ones. I don't really watch them that much, but they're very good. The animation is good, the voice acting is good, the stories are good, they're interesting, they keep you locked into their world. Recently, they came out with The Dark Knight Returns, which is the Frank Miller story that he wrote about the older Bruce Wayne / Batman, which is a phenomenal graphic novel. And they released it as two different movies, Part 1 and Part 2. Part 2 just recently came out this past week. Absolutely fantastic film. If you got to get both these movies, watch them back to back. They're fantastically done. Amazing story to adapt, and just all around great. The reason why I mention that is because they are now doing Superman Unbound, coming out May 7th of this year, and this focuses on the story written by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, from 2008's Superman Brainiac. This basically is where Brainiac, who's responsible for the destruction of Krypton, is descending upon Earth. Brainiac has crossed the universe, collecting cities from interesting planets, Kandor included, and now the all-knowing, ever-evolving android has his sights fixed on Metropolis. Superman must summon all of his physical and intellectual resources to protect his city, the love of his life, and his newly arrived cousin, Supergirl. And the cast for this is Matt Bomer as Superman, John Noble as Brainiac, Stania Katic, who's a Canadian, by the way, as Lois Lane, which I think is great because, as we all know, the original Lois Lane was also played by Canadian Margot Kidder. And Molly Quinn is playing Supergirl. I think this could be a fantastic film as well. As I said, Warner Brothers Animation, with their DC animated films, have done really well. So May 7th, 2013, Superman Unbound coming out. Okay, moving away from the DC universe and on to the Marvel one. So the Marvel universe is moving on with some of their things. Kobe Smulders, who, as we all know, is playing Robin on How I Met Your Mother. She was also in The Avengers as Agent Maria Hill. She's going to be in the Captain America Winter Soldier movie. She's already told that she's in to do that. She's also in talks to join the cast of the upcoming Marvel's S.H.I.E.L.D., which is amazing. Here's what she said. The commitments to How I Met Your Mother don't affect it. And I can't really say, but there are definite talks about it. I will do Maria Hill until they fire me or hire someone else to do it. So, as we all know, as you may or may not know, this past week, How I Met Your Mother did get renewed for its 9th and final season. So maybe we'll finally get to meet the mother after 9 years of this show. But she will be in the Captain America the Winter Soldier to continue that role. Also, there will be definite hype about her joining the cast of S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, she may only play a small role in S.H.I.E.L.D. until How I Met Your Mother is done, but if there's no conflict in the filming, we could see her in 2 series starting next fall. Not only How I Met Your Mother, but also in the S.H.I.E.L.D. television show, and that is going to be fantastic. So I'm glad that she's working on her future already, even though she's not quite done with How I Met Your Mother, which is where she definitely made her rise into stardom. Okay, continuing in the Marvel Universe, Mark Millar talks X-Men Days of Future Past, and also Kick-Ass 3. Just throw that in there. Okay, so Mark Millar is the creative consultant for Fox's Marvel's properties. So everything that Fox owns from Marvel, which is like Wolverine and the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, he's the creative consultant for that area. He's talking about X-Men Days of Future Past, which we all know is the next X-Men film being directed by Bryan Singer. He says, Singer is excellent at working with ensemble casts. So with this one, I feel it is all fine. I've read the screenplay, and it doesn't feel rushed, and doesn't feel like it has too many characters. As we all know, a lot of characters have been added recently. He goes on to say, I think the best comparison I can give is to Star Trek. That is an ensemble, but it never feels as if there isn't enough time with one character. Or the show Lost. That was an ensemble, but every character gets their own moment to shine. So as long as everyone is there for a reason, there doesn't need to be a problem with so many characters. This is a beautifully structured film, and it is a time travel story, so the structure has to be especially strong. Also, something the fans really want to see in this movie because of the story they're doing. He says, I don't want to really give away too much, but the Sentinels are a big feature of this story. They will be cool, and this will deliver on all of the teasers. We've all been waiting for this ever since X-Men The Last Stand showed us one of their heads. Now it is finally coming, and we only have to pay 10 quid to see it in the cinema. Now 10 quid is obviously, he's not talking Canadian dollars, but I think you know what he means. Basically, he's saying that we are going to see the Sentinels. he's saying that we're going to get focus on each of the characters. It's not going to feel rushed. It's not going to be too overly dependent on any one character. It's going to be an ensemble. Also, for all of you Kitty Pryde fans, he does say Kitty Pryde fans will not be disappointed. Okay, since I hinted at the Kick-Ass thing, I will also read the little snippet that Millar says about Kick-Ass 3. Kick-Ass 3 is going to be the last one, though. I told Universal this, and they asked me, what does that mean? I said, it means that this is where it all ends. They said, do they all die at the end? I said, maybe. Because this is a realistic superhero story, and if someone doesn't have a bulletproof vest like Superman, and doesn't have Batman's millions, then eventually he's going to turn around the wrong corner and get his head kicked in, or get shot in the face. So Kick-Ass needs to reflect that. There has to be something dramatic at the end. He cannot do this for the rest of his life. Now, Kick-Ass 2 opens on June 28th. X-Men Days of Future Past is opening July 18th. So Kick-Ass 2 is not the last one. There will be a Kick-Ass 3. That is confirmed. However, Kick-Ass 3 will be the last one. Alright, moving back to the Marvel Universe after I got on the Kick-Ass rant. So a lot of people since the Avengers movies have wanted a Hulk movie. Mark Ruffalo was absolutely amazing as the Hulk, and Bruce Banner. I almost said David Banner, which we all know is the TV show from the 70s. But he was amazing as Bruce Banner. He was amazing as quote-unquote the other guy. So rumors have come out about what's going to happen with Hulk next. Well, in the Marvel Universe, there was this little thing called Planet Hulk. For those of you who don't know, the rumor is that at the end of Avengers 2, the Hulk will be deemed too dangerous for Earth and will be launched into a new solar system. He gets caught in a wormhole and lands on a new planet, and according to the rumors, we will get the Planet Hulk standalone movie. That would then see the Hulk returning to Earth in the Avengers 3, which would be part of Phase 3, and in the comic, which was published in 2006, Hulk was banished from the Earth, as I just said, by the Marvel version of the Illuminati. And then the following series was called World War Hulk, which basically could form the storyline where we'd have the Avengers teaming up with the Guardians of the Galaxy to basically protect them from Hulk. So the rumors come from a place called Latino Review, not a sponsor, and they are very good at these Marvel rumors. So there's a good chance that we could see a Planet Hulk movie. Now this article does go on to say that there's a possibility of Silver Surfer. As far as I know, Silver Surfer still belongs to Fox. So unless there's some kind of agreement reached that Marvel can use Silver Surfer, that will not happen. Now, since Planet Hulk is way off into the future, I mean, for starters, we don't even start Phase 3 until Ant-Man comes out near the end of 2015. So Planet Hulk is at least a 2016 movie, maybe even a 2017 movie. So we've got lots of years between now and then. We've got 3 to 4 years before we're going to see a Hulk movie. And by then, maybe Silver Surfer will belong back to Marvel, or at least something will be negotiated where he can come together. So that's just a rumor going around, and I think it's amazing. I would love to see it, and I would love to see Mark Ruffalo continue on in the Hulk. The last bit of Marvel news is talking about the casting for Guardians of the Galaxy. Brian Michael Bendis, who's going to be working on the comic book version of Guardians of the Galaxy, the rebooted Guardians of the Galaxy for the Marvel Now universe, Bendis said, somebody was asking him about the rumor that one of the Guardians would be in Iron Man 3. Bendis said, Tony standing back and wondering what the Earth needs from him, what he can do for the Earth, for the galaxy, and then taking that back into his next Avengers adventure is a good story worth telling with Tony Stark. So basically, I think we might see a Guardian of the Galaxy at the end of the Iron Man 3 movie. Like, stick around for the credits, because you might get to see a little snippet of a Guardian. Now, the rumor is obviously that it's going to be the leader, Star-Lord. There was rumors last week that Jim Carrey or Adam Sandler were in talks to play Rocket Raccoon. Bendis says Adam Sandler would be good. I disagree. I think Jim Carrey would be 100 times better. Adam Sandler has that voice that you just can drive you crazy. He really has a voice that drives you crazy. And lately his movies haven't been that great. So I think Adam Sandler would be actually a horrible idea. Jim Carrey, I love his voicing. His voice work is amazing, and I would love to see him try this movie out. But Bendis says Adam Sandler would be good, but Jason Statham would be good also. So there's now a Jason Statham rumor possibility. I think that's a small one, but I think that Jason Statham voicing Rocket Raccoon would just be badass. As for the other rumors going around, Jim Sturgis, Zachary Levi, Wes Bentley, and John Krasinski have all been mentioned for the role of Star-Lord. Out of those four, maybe Wes Bentley or Jim Sturgis would be my pick. I don't know too much about Guardians of the Galaxy, but I do know something about actors, and I don't like Zach Levi or John Krasinski for that role. They're too, how shall I say it? They don't seem like they'd be good quote-unquote heroes. Isaiah Mustafa, Brian Patrick Wade, and former WWE superstar Dave Bautista are all on the list to play Drax the Destroyer. And also, last week, apparently there was rumors that said Gina Carano, Olivia Wilde, or Adrienne Palicki to play Gamora, who's the deadliest woman in the whole galaxy. So, those are the rumors. Nothing has obviously been cast. Guardians of the Galaxy does not come out to August 1st, 2014, which probably means they're not going to start filming till either late this year or early next year. So, there's still a lot of time for casting, but as they release any cast notes, I will definitely let you know. So that concludes entertainment news for the week. I am going to move right into sports news, and the biggest sports news is from Sunday night's Super Harbaugh Bowl. That's right, Jim and John Harbaugh, the coaches of the Baltimore Ravens and the San Francisco 49ers, and reverse that, Jim coaches the 49ers and John coaches the Ravens, met in the Super Bowl number 47, and it started off as quite the lopsided game with the Ravens running out to a 21-6 lead by halftime, and then the ensuing kickoff to start the second half. They were up 28-6 after a great return by Jacoby Jones, who ran 108 yards, almost tying the record 109-yard returns that hold right now. San Francisco then stormed back after a power outage that lasted in the neighborhood of 36 to 38 minutes. And they stormed back, but could not pull out the win. The Baltimore Ravens hung on for a 34-31 victory. Now, I predicted, my heart said Baltimore, my head said San Fran, so I picked San Fran. Obviously, I was wrong. But what looked like going to be a blowout game turned into one hell of a finish. Now, I want to go into something here. San Francisco dominated the second half. Absolutely, completely, and totally dominated the second half. Other than that kickoff, which, I mean, to start a game or a half, and to give up that kickoff, it's demoralizing. So, and they were down 28-6 at that point. They stormed back to make this a field goal of a game. There was that point where they were going for a 2-point conversion that would have tied the game at that point at 31. However, they didn't. They failed the 2-point conversion, and that basically sealed the fate. They couldn't muster anything after that. They had a situation where they could have taken the lead. They were down 34-29 at this point. They had a first and goal from about the 3-yard line, and they made 3 straight passing attempts to Michael Crabtree. Now, don't get me wrong. Michael Crabtree is a good receiver. However, you make the same play to the same receiver 3 times in a row when you're on the 3-yard line, when you have a running back named Frank Gore who's a beast and probably could have plowed that in or at least gotten you closer to mix up the plays, play action, something to change the pace. And this is for the lead. They would have taken the lead at this point, and their defense was playing super fantastic in the second half. How could you call the same play that many times in a row? Beats the living hell out of me. I think Jim blew it on that play there. Now, that being said, there was an issue where there was kind of a defensive penalty in the end zone on the third attempt to Michael Crabtree. Crabtree has said he's not going to blame the refs, but you know what? As fans, that's our job. We're going to blame the refs. I'm blaming the ref on that play. If you're not going to call defensive pass interference, the least you could do is call defensive holding and give them a 1st and goal from the 1-yard line. Because that is definitely the wrong call, which was a no call on the field, and really changed the outcome of the game. But again, I think Jim made the wrong choice to make the same play 3 times in a row, and then they had to go for it on 4th down, and that just fell apart because obviously they were going to pass on that one, and it fell apart. It literally fell apart. So Baltimore took over there. They ran a couple plays till it was 4th down. There was about, I think, 12 seconds left on the clock. They ran around in their end zone instead of punting it away to give up the safety. That made it the 34-31, and then there was like 4 seconds left at that point. Now, on the safety play, which was the last play the Baltimore Ravens had the ball, there was a player, an offensive lineman for Baltimore, that was bear hugging a San Francisco 49er player. Now, throwing a flag in that instance, the team's probably going to decline it, accept the safety, and take the kickoff, or the punt, actually, because after safety it's a punt. But at the same time, how could there at least not be a flag thrown? The guy was doing a bear hug. The referees in the last 5 minutes of the game did not call plays that were obvious, did not call plays that affected the game, and San Francisco could have easily have won that game. And then, to make matters worse, they named Joe Flacco the MVP of the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco threw for 3 touchdowns, so I'm not going to deny that he threw for 3 touchdowns. But he only threw for 287 yards. Kaepernick threw for 302 in a loss. He also ran for 62, Mr. Kaepernick. So, that right there, I mean, when the other quarterback outperforms you in yardage, and the only thing you've got showing for it is you got a couple of easy toss touchdowns, although the longest touchdown of the day was a 56-yarder to Jacoby Jones. Now, I've already said Jacoby Jones just returned a 108-yard kick from the start of the second half. That kick return was the game. Without that kick return, Baltimore does not win this game because San Francisco's defense came out to play in the second half. Their special teams screwed up. I'm not going to deny that. In that first kickoff, the special teams screwed up. They fucked right the hell up. But Baltimore's offense was non-existent in the second half. Most of that 287 yards was all first half stats. Flacco should not have been named the MVP. He did not deserve it. He's going to get a fat contract and play like shit next year. I guarantee it, because Joe Flacco is not an elite quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's barely a good quarterback. Joe Flacco played his heart out this year because it was a contract year, which means he played so that he could sign for millions and millions of dollars, and then he's going to play like shit again. So, no, he did not deserve the MVP. Jacoby Jones deserved the MVP of the Super Bowl. He was the only reason they won. Because, without that kick return, San Francisco wins this game guaranteed, hands down. No ifs, ands, buts, and all those calls. It wouldn't have mattered because San Francisco dominated that second half, and that kickoff return was the only thing that Baltimore had going for it. They kicked a field goal later on, but big shit. Big deal. It didn't matter because there was no way that San Francisco was going to lose this game without that kickoff return. So, Jacoby Jones won them that game. He deserved the MVP. I don't care what. He's obviously going to play the good teammate, and he's going to, say that, Flacco deserved it and all that, but it's bullshit. It's all bullshit. He knows in his head that he deserved it. He knows in his heart that he deserved it. Everybody watching that game should know that Jacoby Jones deserved the MVP of the Super Bowl. Fuck Flacco. Okay, so that's it for football for this year. Returns in preseason begins in August. I'll be looking forward to that. And September, the new season starts. So we've got, let's see, we're in February. We still got 6 months to go before preseason. So that'll be the end of football talk for this week, unless, we have some news to announce in the coming weeks leading up to, we might talk about the draft and that as we get closer to that. But definitely, this is the end of the season. Baltimore Ravens, your Super Bowl champions. Congratulations do go out to the Ravens and John Harbaugh. First time brothers faced each other in the Super Bowl. I think it's pretty fantastic. It turned out to be a really great game. I still think San Francisco should have won. As I said, without that return, Jacoby Jones should be MVP. Because without it, that's it. San Francisco wins it, hands down. So, moving on into other sports news, I'm going to move right into the hockey news. So, since this week was the beginning of February, we have some announcements from January. The Rookie of the Month was from the St. Louis Blues, and his name is Vladimir Tarasenko. The reason why he won Rookie of the Month, he put up 5 goals and 4 assists in 7 games. Now, when Rookie of the Month for January means like it was shortened, so it was about half the month, so for about 2 weeks. They played 7 games. He had 4 goals and 5 assists. Okay? Taking a look at some of the other nominees, I guess you could say, the other rookies. Corey Conacher, who is probably the next best player, was 3 goals and 6 assists in 6 games. So that's pretty dang good. Edmonton Oilers center Nail Yakupov had 4 goals and 1 assist in 5 games. Oilers defenseman Justin Schultz had 2 goals and 3 assists in 7 games. And Montreal Canadiens center Alex Galchenyuk had 1 goal and 4 assists in 6 games. So Tarasenko wins with the 9 points, the 5 goals and 4 assists. And I think it was the goals that kind of got him the win because Conacher also had 9 points. So he also played in 1 more game. So, Corey Conacher and Vladimir Tarasenko were very good in this month. Nail Yakupov kind of a little bit behind, but definitely Tarasenko was the Rookie of the Month. He was the 16th overall pick in the 2010 entry draft, and the only game he didn't record a point in was a 3-2 loss to Chicago. Other than that, he's scored a point in every game they've played in all of January. So this kid is definitely somebody to watch out for. Also, being the end of a week, we have the 3 stars of the week. First star went out to Thomas Vanek of the Buffalo Sabres. He's been on a tear, actually. So if people don't have him in your fantasy leagues, you might want to get him. He had 5 goals, 5 assists in 4 games last week. Fantastic. That was coming off an injury. He only missed 1 game, but 5 goals and 5 assists in 4 games. If you don't have Vanek and he's available, pick him up because he's definitely good. Second star of the week went to Chris Kunitz of the Pittsburgh Penguins. He got 8 points, 5 goals, 3 assists in 4 games. Another great week for that player. And the third star of the week goes to Roberto Luongo, who didn't start the season in Vancouver's starting goalie. He became the starting goalie, and he posted a 2-0-1 record with a 9.95 goals against average and a 9.63 save percentage. He won. That's fantastic. He won a shootout, or he lost in a shootout to the Kings, and then he had a shutout over the Avalanche, and then he won 2-1 over the Blackhawks in a shootout. So, that's a pretty decent record, and he's 2-0-2 since in his 4 appearances. So he's gotten a point in every time he's played for his team. So maybe his trade value has gone up. Maybe Corey Schneider's has gone up. Something's going to happen in Vancouver, or they're keeping two great goalies and they're benching one of them. So, here's the thing with Roberto Luongo, and I've said this even as a Leafs fan. Everybody said he should go to the Leafs. I disagree. He's a great regular season goalie. You cannot deny his statistics in the regular season. He gets teams into the playoffs that probably shouldn't. He's a very good player. However, when it comes to the playoffs, he chokes. Whether it's in the first round, second round, third round, or in the Stanley Cup final, at some point he will choke. He's never going to win a Stanley Cup like that. I'm sorry. I know he's a gold medal winner, but he's not going to win a Stanley Cup if he can't learn how to play in the playoffs. And he's too inconsistent in the playoffs. Like, he'll throw up a shutout one game and then give up 7 goals in the next game. So, I'm sorry, but he's a choker, and that's just how I see it. And I totally believe that there's no way that he could... I don't want him on the Leafs. That's basically what I'm saying, because of his playoff record. There's no way that... Like, he would get the Leafs in the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. And that would be awesome, because the Leafs haven't made the playoffs in a very long time. So, the fact that he's possibly raising his trade bait, so to speak, I just don't see him coming to the Leafs. The Leafs would have to give up too much to get him, and I don't see Dave Nonis doing that. So, I think Vancouver's going to have 2 goalies going into the playoffs this year. And besides, I think with the shortened season, maybe a team like Vancouver shouldn't trade him, because as we already saw, he's kind of stolen the starting job back. Goalies are very easily injured. The groin strains, when you have no preseason playing, you have no stretching, no normal stuff that you would have if you had a full season. 48 games, it's a race, it's a sprint really to the finish, and you want to get as many points as possible. So you're going to play your hot goalie, whoever that is at the time. Doesn't matter whether it's Schneider or Luongo. That's who's going to play, and it's just... I don't see him being traded till the offseason. If at all. He'll be traded in the offseason. It'll be an easier trade to make because there won't be a lockout this year, as we know. So that's that. Okay, so after the awards handed out, we get to the standings. Excuse me while I take a little drink. Okay, so the standings in the Eastern Conference are as follows. As remember, I'm just going to top 8, the guys who are in the playoffs. In this case, I'm going to do a top 10 because we have a 3-way tie in points, but due to records and stuff. Anyways, so number 1 is Boston with 13 points. They're leading the Eastern Conference and their division. Tampa Bay leading their division is at 12 points, and Pittsburgh leading their division is also at 12 points. 4th place right now is held by the Montreal Canadiens with 12 points as well. The New Jersey Devils coming at 5th with 11 points. The Ottawa Senators with 11 points at 6th. The Islanders sitting in 7th place at 9 points. And then we have Carolina, the New York Rangers, and Toronto all with 8 points. Holding on to that 8th seed, though, is Carolina, with New York and Toronto rounding out the top 10. In the Western Conference, I'll give you a top 9. And that's because the Western Conference bottom of the pile is a pile-up. And we're still early into the season. We're only about 8 or 9 games. That's what most teams have played. A couple teams played a little bit less. I think there's a couple of teams that have only played 7, but that's okay. 8 or 9 games most teams have played right now. And actually, I think the 2 teams that have played 7 might even be playing tonight, but I'm not sure. Anyway, so number 1 in the league right now is the Chicago Blackhawks, who have no regulation losses. They have 7 wins and 2 overtime losses for 16 points. San Jose Sharks also in that kind of group. They have 7 wins and 1 overtime losses for 15 points. And then the Vancouver Canucks are leading their division. They have 10 points. So, and their division leader, so that's why St. Louis with 12 points is 4th. Anaheim with 11 points is 5th. And this goes back to what I was saying last week about how I think fuck the divisions and make the conference just 1 through 8. And That's what I truly believe. Get rid of the divisions. Let's not have divisions anymore. Just East, West. That's all we need. Top 8, you get into the playoffs. In that order. No 10 points getting ahead of 12 and 11 points. So number 6, Detroit at 9 points. Number 7, Edmonton at 9 points. Number 8, Minnesota at 9 points. And just right behind them, Nashville at 9 points in the 9 slot. Not in the playoffs, but has 9 points. They just have less wins. They're 3-2-3. That's how they got their 9 points. They got 3 wins, 2 losses, and 3 losses in overtime. So they've lost a lot of overtime games. They could easily be in the top 5, but because of those OT losses, they are 9th and on the outside looking in as it currently stands. So there's about 39 to 40 games left for most teams. Some have about 41 games left. So still a little ways to go, but still early in the season. So that's your standings. Moving over into the stats area. Leading in points, as I said, he's been on a tear. Thomas Vanek has 19 points already. But leading in goals is not Thomas Vanek. It is Mr. Patrick Marleau of the San Jose Sharks. Goaltending leader is Craig Anderson with a 1.12 goals against average and a 964 save percentage. He's leading in both categories. And we have 5 goalies, or the top 5 goalies anyways, are all under a 2.0 goals against average, with Anthony Niemi having a 1.8 in the number 5 spot. So that's pretty amazing that the goals are being kept down. Your assist leader is Thomas Vanek, tied with Martin St. Louis and Joe Thornton, all with 11 assists. And plus minus goes to Sammy Salo with plus 10. Most wins from a goalie is a tie between Carey Price and Anthony Niemi with 6. Most shutouts, all alone, Yaroslav Halak. However, he is hurt right now, probably out a week or so. Hopefully not any longer because he's on my fantasy team. He's the only one with more than one shutout, and he could get past this week depending on how well Anderson and Rask do, because they each have a shutout. I think there's a couple other shutouts, but I know one of them's a backup goalie, so who knows if he's even going to get to play this week. You just never know with backup goalies. So that's your standings with the with that. I forgot something when I was doing movie news. I forgot the new releases. I also forgot them last week, but I'm not going to forget them this week. They're just later. The new releases coming out are Identity Thief, Side Effects, and the Top Gun re-release, which is going to be in 3D. Identity Thief is starring Melissa McCarthy, and I forget the guy's name. Dang it. Oh well. You can look it up. That's a comedy, and then you have Side Effects, which is a drama, and that one, I haven't seen too much about it, but it's basically about drug use. I know Channing Tatum's in it, and it's kind of the side effects of using a specific type of drug. And Top Gun, if you don't know what Top Gun is, then you've been hiding under a rock somewhere. But it's being re-released in 3D, and that's kind of been a trend in Hollywood recently, re-releasing movies in 3D. So that's your new releases. This should have gone earlier, but I'm saying it now. Finally, before we wrap up for this week, last week I totally forgot because I was so busy with other stuff, that the Royal Rumble happened on January 27th, and my predictions, some came true, some didn't. Here's the results. John Cena won the Royal Rumble. I was perfect on that. The Rock won his match against CM Punk. I got that right. However, The Rock did win the WWE title. That I didn't see coming. I didn't think they were actually going to give him the title. However, they want to set up Rock versus Cena number 2 at WrestleMania this year. I'm pretty sure of it, so I think we're going to see Rock Cena fighting once more at WrestleMania this year, but this time for the WWE title. My prediction at that time is John Cena will win. He will beat The Rock, and he will win the WWE title. As I said when I predicted John Cena winning the Royal Rumble, this is John Cena's year, I think. He's 10 years in the WWE. I think they're going to make this pretty much a Cena year. He might put some guys over this year. That would be awesome, too. But I think John Cena is going to have a big year this year. In the World Heavyweight title match, Alberto Del Rio actually retained the title, and no, Dolph Ziggler did not cash his Money in the Bank, which is what I thought would happen. So I missed that prediction, and Kane and Daniel Bryan actually retained the titles, and here I was thinking they were probably going to split them up, maybe not yet, but they're still the tag team champions. So we'll see what happens there. Biggest news out of the WWE this past week. My all-time favorite WWE diva, Trish Stratus, is going into the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Trish Stratus has brought Stratusfaction all over the world. She was WWE diva for a very long time. She went out as champion. One of the few people who can say that. She retired as the champion. Her last match, she won the Divas title. At that time, it was the Women's Championship. It wasn't called the Divas title. It was the Women's Championship. And retired after winning it. Like, basically, that was her last match. She retired the next night on Raw. She won it at a pay-per-view. I can't remember which one at this point. But she is going into the WWE Hall of Fame. To top it all off, she is Canadian. So we have yet another Canadian going into the WWE Hall of Fame. Speaking of Canadians, the highlight for me of Royal Rumble, the return of Y2J, Chris Jericho! That's right, the Ayatollah of Rock and Rolla has returned to the WWE. I went absolutely berserk when he came out. I loved it. I was not expecting it. He's not even been hinting it on Twitter. Usually he stops talking on Twitter when he's about to come back. He's just been talking about his band. He doesn't even usually do that when he's about to return. He doesn't want to accidentally drop the bomb. Man, he got everybody. Nobody thought he was coming back. He entered the Rumble at number 2. He was the second guy in the ring. And he lasted till the final 6. He was eliminated, I guess that would be, 24th elimination, and he entered number 2. He was in there quite a long time. I think it was close to an hour. Not quite, probably about 47 to 53 minutes. That's a long time in a Royal Rumble match, and I am so happy he's back. I hope he gets I would love to see him be a champion one more time before he finally does call it a career, because he is one of my all-time favorite wrestlers. He's one of my all-time favorite Canadian wrestlers next to Bret Hart. Bret Hart is the man. But Chris Jericho, man, I love his abilities. I love his mic skills. He is the complete wrestling package, and I'm so happy he's back. With that being said, that is all for this Warlock Hour this week. So tune in next week for another Warlock Wednesdays, and don't forget to tune in tomorrow with Teen Talk with Chelsea on Teen Talk Thursdays. So this has been another Warlock Wednesday. I hope you enjoyed the show. See you next week. Thanks for listening to Another Podcast from anotherpodcast.com. Don't forget to go on iTunes and or download right from anotherpodcast.com. That's EHNOTHER podcast.com. Follow us on Twitter at Another Podcast. Be sure to check back for tomorrow's show only on Another Podcast, your Canadian podcast network. Anotherpodcast.com, not a sponsor.